What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. For those of you that are returning, as you can see, I finally got the studio up and running for the most part in our new house in Memphis, Tennessee, which is where we're going to hopefully start this real estate company. And if this is your first time tuning in and you want to build a career and be a full-time real estate investor, but you want to see what the process looks like from having literally no experience all the way up to a full-time business where you're crushing it in real estate, this is the channel for you because that is exactly what I'm doing. And actually, this is day 9 of going about documenting the journey so that you can see what it looks like, good, bad, and ugly, everything. I'm documenting it all. So if you want to come along the journey, hit subscribe so that you can see when I release these videos, you can come along the journey. With that being said, part of this journey, I needed to figure out how to create an LLC, set it up, and then actually implement it to go invest in real estate. So that's what we're breaking down in this video. Stay tuned. We're jumping in. And by the end of this video, hopefully, you'll have the tools that you need to go, figure out your own LLC and form a company and go crush it in real estate yourself. We're jumping the episode after this quick word from our sponsor.
Faithful Platform is a small private company that works one-on-one with their clients to custom build diamond jewelry. Unlike many other diamond vendors, Faithful Platform custom builds every single order. Not only that, but they guarantee the best price for your product no matter what. So whether you're looking to buy an engagement ring or an iced out Rolex, use the link in the description to get a free quote today.
So once again, welcome back to the Money Metcon. In this show, we're figuring out how to use real estate to get our money working hard for us rather than us working hard for our money. And I had an idea of what an LLC was. I knew that one of the biggest things was you protect your personal assets and you get to essentially form this thing. But I'm going to break down some of the details that I didn't know that I needed to know. And I have a lot of clarity now on what this thing is. And actually, we are funding our LLC today with $100,000 cash, and we're ready to go crush real estate. So here are a couple things. Number one, I already mentioned this, an LLC allows you to protect your personal assets. If you don't know what that means if you're out there crushing millions of dollars of real estate and you blow it and someone wants to come take all your money and recoup all the debt that they can, the LLC stands in front of you as kind of a protection so they can't come take your personal stuff. So your house, your personal bank accounts, all that stuff, that's really dangerous. You want to have an LLC for sure if you're going to do some serious real estate investing. And then the second thing that was at least most important for us is we are doing an LLC where we have a partnership. We have multiple people that are coming together to invest in real estate. So essentially this LLC creates structure for you to actually have an entity that goes and invests. And then within that entity, there are certain ways lined out of how the business actually operates. So an LLC is going to essentially give you the building block at the bottom, the foundation, to actually go start doing this as a company rather than as a personal person or just a group of friends. And this is a bonus one. I'm actually going to cover this later in a video because one of the components that we are doing is hiring a really good quality CPA that understands real estate because there are several tax benefits of having an LLC. It's called a pass-through entity. We're going to break that down later, so stay tuned. Now, here are some of the details that you are going to need to know. These are the things that I didn't need to know, but now that I do, I have a full understanding of what an LLC is and the nitty-gritty details that are going to be really advantageous if you get them right. So check this out. One of the major points of the LLC that's going to essentially dictate how the company is run is called the operating agreement. Think of an operating agreement like this. If somebody just walked in the door and said, hey, what is, for example, ours, Aspen Investments, how is this company run? You could hand them this piece of paper, this PDF, and say, this is how things go down when we're investing in real estate in this company. So the first detail of the operating agreement that's super important, I think, is equity splits. Who owns what in the company? So let's say, for example, you have 2 other buddies, so 3 people are going to own your LLC. How much of the assets that the company holds do each of you own? So is it split evenly 3 ways, or maybe somebody has a lot of capital and brought capital to the table? So maybe that person owns 60% of all assets and your other 2 buddies just 20% or whatever. I was making sure I did the math right. That's why I kind of stopped. Anyway, break it down. And then on the front end, make sure that everyone agrees that the equity split is reasonable and everyone's good with it. Then you get into distribution. It's a fancy word for saying literally when the company starts making money, how are you paying yourselves? That's a huge point that you need to discuss as well. Another one that's really important is decision making within the company. Who makes decisions? So for example, one of the questions that I was asked by my lawyer is, oh, by the way, you want to have a lawyer do this for you. You don't want to go do this on your own. A lawyer will help you break this down properly. But anyway, decision making. One of the questions that he asked was, is it member managed or manager managed? Meaning, let's say that it just starts out with your 3 buddies and it's all member managed. Well, there's just 3 members, but what happens if you want to add 10 more investors to bring in $10 million more to do real estate? Then is it member managed still, or is it manager managed? Then you 3 are the managers and you make decisions on behalf of the company. That's one thing you want to think of, and especially forth-looking, right? So right now you might want it to be member managed, but maybe down the road you want it to be manager managed so that people can come under you and they won't be able to manipulate the way decisions are made in the company. That's something to think about. Another really important one is dissolution. So if you dissolve the company, if you sell the company, or you guys decide, hey, it's been a good run, we want to sell the company now, take our money and run. How does that happen? What are the details of what that looks like? You figure that out on the front end so that it's peaceable on the back end. And then I mentioned this a little bit, but if you start doing real estate and you start crushing it, all the mentors that I have told me people are going to want to be part of that. So you need to figure out, if somebody does want to buy into the company or be part of the company, what does that look like? How much do they have to pay to get in? What is their responsibility going to look like, et cetera? Or are they just investors that bring money and you give them a portion? Those are the kind of things that you're going to want to break down as well. Now, those are some of the details that may not be exhaustive, but like I said, get a lawyer, and then I would highly recommend getting a real estate mentor, somebody who has a real estate LLC that is investing. Ask them, like, hey, in your experience, what do you wish you'd done differently? All these different things. I went through this process, but I think you need to as well to break it down. So as far as our LLC goes and our operating agreement, I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of like what we did with ours and our main concern that we wanted to avoid. The main concern we wanted to avoid was not to be locked down by our operating agreement. So for example, let's say we had set in stone, hey, no matter what happens, distributions are always 50-50 of everything. Well, if we lock ourselves into that idea, and turns out at the end of 2021, we want to start doing distributions differently. If we kind of locked ourselves into this idea already in the operating agreement, it would be a little bit harder to change. So the way that we did it is within our operating agreement, we have under a section, hey, look to Exhibit A or whatever, which is an annual budget, where we meet as often as we want. And because we're the two members and it's member managed, we get to make decisions on how we get to adjust things as we go. And as long as we both sign on a piece of paper, hey, the annual budget or the payouts are going to change in X way, and we submit it, that's the deal. Then we put it in paper. So that's how we set up our operating agreement so that we can have a ton of flexibility to adjust the LLC and the operating agreement as we go. So obviously this is just the first video we're making about LLC. We're going to come back around and give you like little updates. You can ask questions in the comments and I can answer them. You can hit me up personally on my Instagram. Check this out. I'm documenting this whole journey up here in this playlist day by day. So stay tuned. The next thing I'll be talking about, because it's literally next in the journey, is I got to go find a mentor who's going to help me get in the game so I don't make incredibly bad decisions because I really don't know what I'm doing. So stay tuned, hit subscribe, come along for the journey. You can share this video, whatever. I hope this helps. We'll talk to you next time.